Haters gon' hate, you know they're shady. You're the only one.
Oh yeah, baby, it's a Friday evening. That's why I'm jamming right now. It's your host, Marlon Favorite. You're listening to Inside the Trenches podcast. I'm hoping I'm kicking y'all weekend off right. Y'all enjoying the evening. I'm here in the Small Sliders Hub, baby, and we got ourselves a show for y'all today. Hello, somebody. Yes, indeed. I am enjoying myself here on this Friday. Hump Day was nice. Thursday took us on through, and we're here on Friday. It was a good week this week, man. It really was a good week as we're gearing up for the holiday season. That's right. So for this show here, by the way, it's brought to you by Small Sliders, 1635 Barataria Boulevard in Marrero. Talk to me now. Yes, indeed. Y'all make sure y'all get over to Small Sliders, get y'all some dinner tonight. Just make it y'all's dinner's choice. If y'all don't feel like cooking, pull up the Small Sliders and handle business. You will not regret it if you hadn't been out, because if you're already going there, you already know what time of day it is. You already know. And let them know you heard about them on Inside the Trench. Say, Big Faye told me come on over here. Definitely. So for this show here, we're going to run some Flashback Friday, right? I want y'all to enjoy some of the episodes y'all may have missed. Ryan Perriloux, y'all did hear him on a recent episode, but me and Ryan had to sit down last year, and we talked about a little more extensively about his time at LSU. So we're going to run that interview back with Ryan Perriloux. I hope y'all enjoy that one. And then the man, the myth himself, we're talking about Small Sliders. Joining us on today's show, I'm going to have my boy Rick Robards, the owner and operator at Small Sliders Marrero. Rick got all kind of exciting news he's going to talk to us about. He's going to join me for 2 segments. And then we're going to get into some other interviews. Lil Reezy came on the show. We're going to check out the Lil Reezy interview. We're going to check out Nick Underhill. Dat Boy Fred from FanView podcast. Y'all heard him on the show yesterday. He's joining me again on today's show, so I hope that you guys really enjoy it. For this segment, I wanted to get a little personal. We talk Flashback Friday. We talk about all the great moments on this show. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about my great moments as an LSU Tiger. Like, we're going to come on this show and talk all of this draft talk. Tigers in the draft, Jaden Daniels, Makai Wingo, and, the Brian Thomases of the world, Malik Neighbors, but it wouldn't be right to let my folks know about my top 5 favorite moments at LSU. So before I start rattling off these moments, I want to explain why. Basically, when you look at or listen to these moments, for me, it was really all about, this is just personal, right? So what game you played good in? What game you performed the best in? And then there's no I in team. What are some games where it was some team efforts, where everybody balled out? And then I also want to look at some monumental moments in my LSU career, being there from 2004 to 2008, playing under Coach Nick Saban, playing with for Coach Miles, and all the assistant coaches we had over the years. Some guys even back at LSU. I can remember when Bo Davis was an assistant coach back then, and Corey Raymond coached the corners early on, coming on as a GA at LSU, and just some wonderful moments on and off the field. I mean, Les Miles legit allowed me and Black Venom to perform at the national championship dinner. We performed on the river boat for the 2006 game against Notre Dame. I mean, it was just a great time. So I'm going to get into my top moments. LSU versus Auburn in 2006. I think that was a defining moment, not only for myself, but for my teammates. That game really created character in me. I found out I wasn't starting that game like right. I'm talking about, no lie, right in warm-ups. And not the warm-ups with the team. I'm talking about D-line warm-ups. Ricky started over me that game, Ricky Jean Francois. And, man, that was a great strategy for my coach, because I had a picture up in LSU's hallway for at least 15 years when that game I took the center and I did a long arm stab and just pushed him into the lap of the quarterback. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Tyson Jackson must have got a sack off of that because I was just so furious because I had to come off of the bench. So for me, that game was all about class. It was all about building character and maturing. Number 4 for me, LSU versus Ole Miss in 2006. When we played against Ole Miss in 2006, our season was rolling. We were winning. We had superstars being born that year, guys like Early Doucette and Jamarcus Russell really helping his draft stock. It was a night game, played against one of my high school rivals in Ben Jarvis Green Ellis. He was the running back, and I can remember us just really having a good game, and it was a solid performance. We won. That was my first time like making a big play, a big tackle for loss right by the student section. They erupt. It was insane. Great moment, and that's number 4 for me. Number 3 for me, LSU versus Ohio State for the national championship. The game was, of course, 07, but we played it in 08. I played 7 plays in that game. Like, at the end of the game, too, like it was over. I was a starter that year, but I didn't play in the SEC championship, and I was still recovering from my ankles. So that clearly wasn't about me. The team effort. I can remember it like it was yesterday. Glenn had like 6 tackles for loss. You had Tyson had a good game. Ricky Jean, that was a comeback game for him. That was his second game back with us. He had spent a year of suspension, so it was good to have a teammate back. And I could just remember all of us just being excited to be in that moment. You know, that's something. It's not about that game. It's about what got you there. And, you know, thinking back about that season and the different grand moments that I had back then really, really meant a lot. So it was just a great moment. And I was just proud of all of us in that moment. A lot of guys made millions of dollars off of that game. A lot of guys really put themselves in a different category in those moments. 2 more here. Number 2. Drum roll. LSU versus Auburn in 2007. Huge individual game for me. I ended up, me and Demetrius Byrd that week were offense and defensive players of the week, SEC players of the week. Big honor. I can just remember that game being stout as not only as a run stopper, but being able to add pressure on pass rush. Made some key plays in that game personally. I can remember Coach Pelini coming up to me that Monday. It's like, man, Fave, you know that 4th down play you made was huge, right? I mean, they get a first down, that could change the momentum of the game. And I was just, you never want to take all the credit and just pat yourself on the back, but that was a great moment for us, and of course for us to get that win. Bird had that was the first. You can't see me. That we was the first ones to do the not taking nothing from Angel Reese and everybody else that with doing that, but we Tony Yayo, 50 cents. I get money. Bird, that was our thing after that. I'll never forget that, boy. Some good days. And then number 1. A different intro drum roll right there. LSU versus Florida, 2007. Boy, that was a game. We was lit after the game. We was lit before and during. Back then, you didn't have cell phones operate the way they operate now. Back then, it was all about, finding somebody's cell phone and just blowing it up like a beep. And our student body did that. T-Bob. Shouts out to my boy T-Bob, baby. Tebow, Tim Tebow had scored one of the first touchdowns on us. He did the phone sign thing to put the phone to his ear and his mouth like, yeah, call me now. But we won that game, boy, and we was performing. I remember one play, y'all, just to really be insightful. I made the tackle in the backfield, and I felt the ground going stumping. Boom, boom. That was Glenn Darcy hand saying, yeah, that was you that made that play, I fade. That was you. He turned and looked at me. Said, yeah, bro, you know we're in. We won that game against Florida. Number 1 Florida coming down there to LSU and winning that game. So I just wanted to share my favorite 5 moments at LSU with you guys. I hope y'all enjoyed it and continue to enjoy the show. We're going to run these interviews Check out my man Fred. He coming on the show a little later, and we enjoying it. It's Inside the Trenches podcast, baby. Live, ESPN New Orleans. Ho, 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 ho.
Hello, somebody.
Are you a student athlete looking to take your career to the next level? Look no further than Conquer Sports Pros. That's right, Conquer Sports Pros. Our team of experts will get you guys on the right path to your student athlete journey in life. That's right, we have every position in football you need, and we also help out with other sports. At Conquer Sports Pros, you have everything from a list of consultation, training, and also media training. Yeah, that's right. When you take your career to the next level, play college and hopefully pro, you'll get lots of interviews. Call Conquer Sports Pros today. You can reach them at 504-319-6672 or visit marlonfavorite.com for more information. Hello, somebody. Are you looking for your dream home? Well, if that's the case, you need to contact Joe Picolo at Godwyn Realty, right here in New Orleans. Joe can put you in your dream home right away. Joe Picolo and the folks over at Godwyn Realty put you in the house that you need. Even if you're looking to invest in some property, they'll do an excellent job with that as well. Contact Joe today at 504-251-8341. Again, that phone number is 504-251-8341. And also contact Joel at joel.godwynrealty.com. No need to dream anymore. Godwyn Realty will put you in the dream house of your reality. Hello, somebody.
It's Dat Boy Fred, host of FanView podcast. Tune into the NOTN app weekdays, 3:30 for the FanView podcast. Go to NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com to watch more episodes of FanView podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and watch.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
Hello, somebody. It's Marlon Favorite with Inside the Trenches podcast. Do you need a quick car wash? Well, if that's a yes, you need to visit Crown Car Wash, 1336 Stump Boulevard, Gretna, Louisiana, on the West Bank, baby. Crown's the best. You get a spotless wash, nice clean tires, reasonable pricing, and free vacuuming. My favorite part about Crown Car Wash, they open 24/7. That's right, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can visit Crown Car Wash on the West Bank, baby, and let them know you heard about them on Inside the Trenches podcast with Marlon Favorite. Watch out there now. Our next guest was a parade All-American in high school. He also spent time at LSU, playing both in the FBS and the FCS schools. At LSU, he won the MVP for the SEC championship, our 2007 year, and then went along and still, to this date, has the record for FCS passing rating. Did I mention he won a Super Bowl with the New York Giants? Our next guest is none other than my homie, Ryan Perriloux, quarterback Ryan Perriloux. Ryan, man, welcome to Inside the Trenches, bro.
Man, how you doing, Fave, baby?
Well overdue, y'all. This is episode 233, I want to say, and I finally got my good friend, old roommate in college, onto our show. So, Ralu, we'll get into it. What's going on now, man? How's life treating you right now? How's things going?
Well, as of right now, Fave, just out here just coaching quarterbacks. We got the PPA, the Perriloux Passing Academy rolling, and then of course I'm working directly with you with Conquer Sports. It's an amazing deal.
Hello.
Life is actually moving pretty well. I appreciate what's going on.
Ryan, we're gonna jump right into it. A lot of folks, particularly here in the southern region, the SEC region of the United States, remember you from your time at LSU and even as a parade high school All-American. We'll get into that, but you were dismissed from the team at LSU going into my senior year, would have been your junior year, and you transferred to JSU, that's Jacksonville State University. And for a lot of folks, it's like, man, what happened with Ryan Perriloux? We really hadn't heard from this guy in a long time. And Ryan, you and I in the last couple of years have been, as you mentioned, training players in the southern region, getting guys ready to go to the next level. But for most folks, and I know a huge portion of my listening audience is like, man, what happened to Ryan Perriloux? Like, what was his career after LSU? What was it like at JSU, man? Talk to our listeners about that experience.
Well, just being able to leave the state. Of course, I'm a Louisiana native. That's the number one thing I wanted to do is stay in Louisiana. But after it didn't work out, nobody's fault at the end of the day. But when it didn't work out, I went on to Alabama, Jacksonville State, and those group of guys are a bunch of hardworking group of guys. They came out every week and competed. And that's all I was looking for after I left LSU was a group of guys that come out and compete week in and week out. That's all I was looking for.
So as far as the competition goes, in regards to actually, I mean, you go from throwing the ball to Demetrius Byrd and Brandon LaFell and guys like Early Doucette, as I mentioned, on a national championship run. And for you to talk about your guys, I mean, for you to make it to the NFL, which we'll get into that later on in this episode, you still had to continue to develop. I mean, 199.2 passing rating in your 2 years at JSU. How much of that had to do with the coaching? How much of that had to do with what you already knew from high school and playing for Coach Jimbo Fisher and under Les Miles' staff?
Well, just to start from high school, I got to let you know about Coach Larry Dotrieve, Hall of Fame coach. Came from Canada. He coached Doug Flutie out in Canada and Calgary. I was developed by some of the best guys and the best minds. And then leaving from East St. John straight to go be with Jimbo Fisher was one of the best things that ever happened to me, Fave. You got to think. As a quarterback, is not physical as you think. It's about thinking. It's about being able to adjust your game, in-game adjustments. It's about being able to go out there and prove that you can be consistent.
Right.
And that's what my coaches taught me. So playing under Jimbo Fisher, he always taught me control what you can control and do your job.
We're going to really get into your high school accomplishments, and we'll talk about that in our next segment. But you mentioned something about the quarterback position and what was instilled in you as a young player. For today's quarterback, right? Like, it's a totally different game. Of course, it's how I like to say it sometimes, the cloth that we cut from. Hello, somebody. These youngsters don't really understand the type of coaching we had early on. What elements of your game, Ryan? I mean, you were the number one athlete. You wasn't just the number one quarterback in high school. You were the number one athlete. You know, Nike Elite 11. You had, as I mentioned, the Gatorade Player of the Year, an invite and an awesome performance in the Army All-American Bowl game. What was it about your skills at quarterback that put you in that position to really sustain and do well on the next level?
Well, when it came to me, when the coaching is great, I understand that you have to be able to be coachable. I understand that you got to be able to do a lot of things, Faye.
Right.
But I learned my game strictly off of watching.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Ward is one of my favorite athletes that I ever watched in my life. And it was when I watched Charlie Ward that my game developed. I became a better football player. And with the coaching is what made me a much better football player.
Right. When you look at how high school football, I mean, I tell people this all the time. When we were in high school, you read about us in the newspaper. You actually you got word about us when people talked about us. It was the word of mouth theory back then. Ryan, I must say, I came out the year before you. I was class of 2004. You were class of 2005. But to see marketing change for high school players with you, like for our listeners, Ryan was legit the first like mega super high school players. Guy had his own website when football players wasn't doing their own website. He was getting ESPN.com and back then, which was the holy mecca of sports write-ups, the ESPN cover. If you were in a magazine back then, I mean, that was major marketing. So for you to go through that, and I remember the classic line, I think I'm better than Jamarcus and Matt Flynn, just, coming out of high school to have that type of confidence. What do you feel like that really did? Because, I mean, it's important on the field imaging and off the field imaging. I mean, you basically was marketing yourself. How was your team then? Like, what really put you in a position to get that type of publicity coming out of high school? I mean, of course, your skill set, but, what made them put it like that?
Well, just to talk to you as a friend, I was good my whole life. I could say that because that's just what it was. I was the Mr. Biddy in basketball.
That's right, you balled baseball.
I was
too.
an All-American in baseball. I played football as well, and we won championships every year. So I was naturally a champion. That's all I wanted to do was win. That's my mindset. Win. That's all I come out to do is get the win. And when I get into the levels of where now, I'm looking in the paper, I'm seeing Marlon Favorite, Skylar Green, all these guys in the papers. I'm like, why I'm not in the paper? I've been the best since I was a child. So now what I do is I work harder. I start focusing more on the tangibles,
right?
The small things, because you're already a big player. Now it's focusing on the small things. Are you gonna be on time? Are you gonna be on task? That part.
And that's a big time message for the young player today, because right now it's all about how many likes you're getting on the social media, how many followers you have, and there's a business aspect for that for those guys too. Like, they're, of course, with the NIL deals now, and we'll definitely dive into that as well later on in the show. But just the way things have changed, like, we're talking about ESPN magazine at the time, and now these guys being able to have apps like Huddle and apps like YouTube to really push and market themselves. Like, we legit.
Fed, we didn't have none of that. Like Fed, we didn't have none of that. I strictly made it off of a farm. I come from Woodland Quarters, Louisiana.
The man said a farm.
Till this day, I still go home and visit my mom. And my mom, even though I was able to do things for her,
right,
she never wanted to leave her home. So it's like that big analogy, or that big complex that athletes have, that I want to buy my mom a house.
right.
You don't have to buy your mom a house.
That's
Focus on yourself. Your mom already good. Because even when I wanted to buy her a house, she didn't want it. She wanted to stay in her own house. She just wanted to see me be great. And that took the pressure off of me. And as I continue to roll through this progress and this process, it's like, who do you want to be? Which person do you want to be? I just want to be that guy. You know how Coach said, don't be that guy?
right.
Well, I want to be that guy.
Be that guy. Be that guy. Are you looking for your dream home? Well, if that's the case, you need to contact Joe Picolo at Godwyn Realty, right here in New Orleans. Joe can put you in your dream home right away. Joe Picolo and the folks over at Godwyn Realty put you in the house that you need. Even if you're looking to invest in some property, they'll do an excellent job with that as well. Contact Joe today at 504-251-8341. Again, that phone number is 504-251-8341. And also contact Joel at joel.godwynrealty.com. No need to dream anymore. Godwyn Realty will put you in the dream house of your reality. Hello, somebody.
Now New Orleans has a choice. Download the New Orleans Talk Network app for your mobile device or listen at www.neworleanstalknetwork.com.
Hello, somebody. It's your boy Marlon Favorite. And when I'm hungry, I like to make my way to Small Sliders, 1635 Barataria Boulevard, Marrero, Louisiana. Simple on purpose. When I tell you their burgers are delicious, has some great sauce on them, I'm telling you, when you're just hungry and just need to grab a quick bite, this is the perfect place for you. Small Sliders. The customer service is nice. It's somewhere you can bring the family, hang out and chill, enjoy the atmosphere. Now I'm a big boy, so when I like to take my Small Sliders, I like to get the biggest smalls. Double patties, bacon, cheese, you name it. Just a delicious burger. And I like to top it off with my favorite, the cookies and cream milkshake. There are 3 delicious flavors: milkshake, chocolate, vanilla, and cookies and cream. Small Sliders. Simple on purpose. Y'all come on and slide through, baby. And let them know that you heard about them on Inside the Trenches with your boy Marlon Favorite. Watch out there now.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
Hello, somebody. Yeah, I'm a movie. I have a special treat for y'all today. That's right. Especially for all my Who-Dats out there. I mean, it's been a rough year for the Saints and a couple of questions that needs to be answered. So I brought my good buddy on, writer, beat writer, owner, operator of New Orleans Football, my man, Nick Underhill. Nick, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, appreciate you having me, man. Thank you.
Y'all make sure y'all follow him on Twitter, Nick_Underhill. So Nick, I've been knowing you now for a few years, going at a couple of Saints training camps. Never really got to know you personally in regards to like your family and friends and like your history. So tell me a little bit about Nick Underhill, man. Where did you go to school? Where you from? And how did you get into beat writing?
Yeah, so I'm from Pennsylvania, a town called Erie. It's just about an hour and a half west of Buffalo. And really, I got into this because it was kind of really the only thing I could do. I wasn't good at going to school. I didn't like sitting through history class, math class. I actually got kicked out for a year and a half.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it took me 5 years. So I was the truant kid who didn't show up. But there was a teacher there who just kind of saw something to me, Mrs. Yopes, and she always told me I was good at writing, and she gave me encouragement. And there were times like where I wouldn't go to school all day, and I had her last period, and I'd show up just for her class. She hooked me up with the newspaper, and I started writing little sports stories for them, doing some freelance work in that. And it was something that I kind of grabbed onto a little bit, and I knew I was good at it. After high school, there's probably about 3 years where I was working construction, doing different stuff, just getting money kind of however I could. And it just got to a point where it was like, I can't do this anymore. So I went to college as a non-degree student. Thankfully, my dad worked on the maintenance staff at one of the colleges, so it was like 80% paid. So you got to pay cash. You can't get loans or nothing for that. So I started doing that, and then I started freelancing for different newspapers when like people would come through. We had an NBA D-League team. One of them, it was actually the Erie Bayhawks, which the Bensons bought a couple of years ago and moved to Alabama. But there was one team that came through, the Springfield Armor, and I covered them a few times. And then a couple months later, for baseball spring training, they covered the Red Sox too. And I saw an ad saying they needed someone down there. I called them up. I was like, hey, I'm going to be down there in Florida. Let me do this. They're like, yeah, that's cool. I flew myself down, stayed in the hotel, lost thousands of dollars on the deal, maxed out my credit cards. But my mind, I was thinking, hey, if I do this, I can get some clips and I'm going to get a job off of doing this. And knowing what I know now, that was incredibly stupid because things don't work like that. But I went down there, I did that. And then one of their guys left that was covering the Patriots. And they're like, hey, can you blog about this from your house in Pennsylvania, do all that? And I'm like, yeah, cool. But I got that hookup. So then I call the Patriots and I get credentials. And I'm like, hey, can I come cover the game? They gave me a credential. I drive 9 hours one way, 9 hours back. Lose money.
You're talking Erie, from Erie to Foxborough. That's a bad.
Yeah, 9 hours. Yeah. 9 hour ride. Yeah. So I go out there, I cover the games, and I did it I drove to New York. They had a game early in New York that year, and then they played Pittsburgh, Cleveland. So those were close to me. And then about midway through the season, I'm like, hey, let me move out there and just cover every practice and everything. They let me move out. We had to live in Rhode Island because it was like way too much to live in Massachusetts. I made like 30 grand that year. Couldn't pay my taxes. Like I did this for like 2 years. Eventually they gave me a full-time job and I hooked on. But like it was, for me, it was just, I needed a door, and I was going to eat off this no matter what it took. And I just kind of kicked that door and kicked that door and kicked that door and eventually found my way in.
Now, I'm assuming you're in your early 20s. You move out to Rhode Island. I remember staying out in New England. You're right. It is a big difference. We used to get our hair cut out in Rhode Island. And it's small, right? Rhode Island, for our listeners, viewers, it's just it's a little small spot. A lot of just very diverse area, freezing cold, just clamchowder.com, right? That's all it is to eat out there. So you get your start there, you're writing, and for broadcasting, it has so many different vantage points. You have your beat writers, you have guys who might just do on-camera talent, you have podcasters like us, and you have different elements to it. From what I understand, at New Orleans.football, you guys have the podcast, you have the website, and you also write articles for, I guess, for our younger audience. What's that process like for, to become a beat writer and have that consistency and the timing to drop? Like, what is that industry like for inspired writers?
Yeah, it's competitive. And like for me, like I go out there and I know there's people that write better than me, but no one's gonna outwork me. You know what I mean? Like no one's gonna come in there and take what I got. I always kind of try to operate like there's someone coming behind me, and if I slow down, they're gonna catch me. Like I know how I got my way in. Somewhere there's someone out there that's gonna be willing to drive 9 hours to cover a game. And when I meet that dude, I'm gonna be scared of him, and I'm never gonna let him catch me. So I keep trying to operate like that. But it's really just about showing up, and it's a bunch of people being in the same room, seeing the same thing, and you got to come out of there trying to be a little bit smarter than everybody else, seeing something that nobody else saw, having the conversation that nobody had, just kind of bringing those pieces, because there's so many people that are just willing to write, oh, Drew Brees is talking today, I'm writing about Drew Brees. Well, while everybody's around Drew Brees, I'm trying to be over here talking to him and talking to him and talking to him. That's a diversion for me to find something that nobody else has. So it's just always trying to find a way to be a little bit more interesting, a little bit different, and try to look at things in a way that nobody else is.
That's true. Now, something that wasn't too interesting this season has been the Saints football team. It's been remnants of the early 90s, late 80s. Not the best season this year when you look at the black and gold. My question for you, and I know you follow the team even when you guys travel, you travel along with the team, with you guys' show. What was the main issues this year? It's a ton of them, right? But I guess to bullet point 3, what went wrong?
Everything.
Help somebody.
Yeah, for real. I mean, it's a few things. I think that they overestimated what they had in the building, and I agreed with the idea of continuity. Like when they stuck with it, I was for it. I thought keeping DA was smart. I thought keeping Pete Carmichael was smart. I thought just kind of, these guys were going to be able to come together and preserve everything that they kind of had going on. I figured there'd be some step back, but then, you look at the stat last year where they had 45, 50 different guys start. It kind of felt like, all right, they'll get healthy. They'll lose a couple games maybe because of not having Sean, but the healthy players will kind of even it out, and they'll still be competitive. And I think they looked at that the same way. But I think somewhere within that, they lost their direction. Everything they were saying early in the offseason was that we're going to take a step back. We're going to be realistic about who we are and what we're going to do. And for the whole offseason, they operated like that for a while. Like it was like, are they going to do anything? Are they going to sign anyone? And they didn't. And then they get in this pursuit of Deshaun Watson, and it's like they kind of lost their minds there. And they got the idea of like, oh, if we get these couple pieces, we can be, back in the deep postseason run. So they miss out on him, and they keep going all in. They make the trade in the draft for the second draft pick without even a target. It was just, we want 2 picks. It wasn't like we're going to draft these guys. They made the trade before the draft. So it was whoever was going to be there. And look, Chris Olave is a great player. Trevor Penning might be, but there was nobody in that room saying, all right, if A, B, and C goes wrong, maybe we won't be that good. It was kind of like, oh, everything's going to work out, and we're going to be good, and everything's going to be perfect, and we're going to be in the postseason. We're going to be picking late in the draft, so it won't matter. Well, they're in this point now where you should be looking at, should we tank? Should we try to work up to the number 2 pick?
Yes, that's right.
So they don't even have those options on the table. So that went wrong. And then the same mentality. CJ Gardner-Johnson, I think being out there was stuff we saw that kind of was like, all right, this could be a problem for a new head coach. The moment for me where I kind of looked at it and I was like, all right, something's got to happen here, is he missed a practice and DA got asked about it. And he's like, oh, he had cramps. And, that's just kind of like coaches say that's like, it's not serious and they don't want to go into detail. Oh, he had cramps. CJ starts tweeting that night, oh, I'm from Florida. I don't have no cramps. This is BS. They're trying to say this and that about me. And then the next day at practice, they got that trailer there where, it's cooled off. It's like a walk-in cooler, basically, like a grocery store. He goes into this trailer like 11 times in the same practice, kind of like a passive-aggressive, like, oh, all right, you're saying I got cramps, well, I'll show you. And, so it was kind of like he was challenging the new head coach. Sean, I think, would have got that in check. He would say, hey, this isn't going to happen.
Right.
But, they kind of saw DA's authority being challenged, traded him. Same thought, though. Oh, we're a good team. We got this depth. We got Justin Evans. Everything's going to work out. Everything's going to be good. And then, obviously, it wasn't. And they miss him. So, really, I think it's not even 3 things. It's just that one mentality. And then it's a bunch of things stemming off it where no one in the room was like, man, things could go sideways here. Like, what if Jameis Winston gets hurt and doesn't lead the team? What if we have to start Andy Dalton? What if Chris Harris ends up being our slot cornerback? There's nothing really in the thought process of like, maybe this won't work. And I think maybe just having that voice in their head would have just caused them to be a little bit more cautious with some of the stuff they did, and they wouldn't be in this huge hole they're in right now.
I agree with you on that. If y'all just tuning in the Inside the Trenches podcast, I have Nick Underhill, beat writer for NewOrleans.football. Y'all check out their website. Check them out on Twitter as well. Great content. You love the Saints. This is the guy. You won't miss it at all. Him and my other buddy, we'll get into their deal in a minute, Mike Triplett. But I agree with you on the deal with just nip it in the bud. It's this back and forth thing on the social media. Hello, somebody. It's the host of Inside the Trenches podcast, Marlon Favorite. Did you know Small Sliders had an app? You can go to your Google Play Store or your Apple Store right now, download the Small Sliders app in Marrero, and order your food right now. You want to get a number 2? Well, slide through 1635 Barataria Boulevard in Marrero. Small Sliders, simple on purpose. Are you a student athlete looking to take your career to the next level? Look no further than Conquer Sports Pros. That's right, Conquer Sports Pros. Our team of experts will get you guys on the right path to your student athlete journey in life. That's right, we have every position in football you need, and we also help out with other sports. At Conquer Sports Pros, you have everything from a list of consultation, training, and also media training. Yeah, that's right. When you take your career to the next level, play college and hopefully pro, you'll get lots of interviews. Call Conquer Sports Pros today. You can reach them at 504-319-6672 or visit marlonfavorite.com for more information. Hello, somebody. Hello, somebody. It's your boy Marlon Favorite. And when I'm hungry, I like to make my way to Small Sliders. 1635 Barataria Boulevard, Marrero, Louisiana. Simple on purpose. When I tell you their burgers are delicious, have some great sauce on them, I'm telling you, when you're just hungry and just need to grab a quick bite, this is the perfect place for you. Small Sliders. The customer service is nice. It's somewhere you can bring the family, hang out and chill, enjoy the atmosphere. Now I'm a big boy, so when I like to take my Small Sliders, I like to get the biggest smalls. Double patties, bacon, cheese, you name it. Just a delicious burger. And I like to top it off with my favorite, the cookies and cream milkshake. There are 3 delicious flavors: milkshake, chocolate, vanilla, and cookies and cream. Small Sliders. Simple on purpose. Y'all come on and slide through, baby. And let them know that you heard about them on Inside the Trenches with your boy Marlon Favorite. Watch out there now. Well, hello, it's Marlon Favorite with Inside the Trenches podcast. Are you looking for a brand new car? Or you're tired of what you're driving around in? Or you just need wheels? Well, if that's the case, you need to visit Montero Motors, 1512 North Causeway, Metairie, Louisiana. At Montero Motors, our buddy Alberto will get you in a vehicle that fits you that day with no problem. They have vehicles that are pre-owned. You could do a trade-in that day and ride off in something that day. Visit MonteroMotors.com for more information and let them know you heard about them on Inside the Trenches podcast. Hello.
Step Construction is here for you with a brand new offer. We now provide affordable storage sheds. Stop wasting your money on overpriced storage units and portable containers. Step Construction can provide you with a custom shed that will fit your budget and storage needs. So contact Step Construction today at 504-340-5809 for your own personal quote. Let us help you take the next step at Step Construction.
Welcome back to Inside the Trenches podcast. It's your host, Marlon Favorite. Our next guest is amongst the top rappers coming out of New Orleans. I even feel confident enough to mention him to guys like Mac, Juvenile, Currency, and even Lil Wayne. This guy has been blowing up over the last few years. You've seen him on the radar. He's traveling over to New York and LA and just storming the internet with great content. My little bro, and shoot, I was even blessed enough to work with him on a song. Lil Reezy. Oh, Lil Reezy. Yeah, baby. What's up, Lil Reezy,
Going on,
man?
Big Fave. Hello, somebody.
Well, welcome to Inside the Trenches podcast. We're glad to have you on the show.
Thank you.
I want to get started from the beginning, man. I was looking on your pops' Facebook the other day, and I saw Auntie Diane, and I seen you 5 years old doing the Michael Jackson, Mr. Super Fantastic holding you. So have you been rapping or at least performing since that age? That's where it started for you?
Yeah, as far as I could go back 4 years old, like I just remember that's probably the first thing of my memory I have, just being like a performer, dancing as like Michael Jackson, dancing as Justin Bieber, mindless behavior. Like I could just remember, just performing stuff like that since I was young.
And from there, you continued to do the music, and I know around the time you was graduating from high school, you started to do more of the talent shows at school, getting Mr. Popular. So, your ability started to grow around the age of 17. You even dropped an album 17. So right after high school, you at this point, you're a streaming artist. I remember somewhere after your graduation, I had an opportunity to perform with you down in New Orleans, and you did a show there. So I guess talk to our listeners about from that Reezy high school, Reezy, going into where most people go to college, man. You went straight full throttle with the music.
Yeah, so high school, I was making music, and I thought it was the best music in the whole wide world, and it was more of just like me growing up as a kid overall and me understanding who I am, but still having that hunger to like really be a rapper, be the best rapper. That was more, I was like, I want to be the best rapper. I'm going to rap extra hard. I'm going to give these boys bars. And getting after high school, it was more like, it was like the real world. And I was like, I remember I was telling you and my dad, I was like, I'm trying to do the rapping full time. Like if I put all my time into this, about time school would be done, college would be done, I'd be the biggest rapper in the whole world. So that's how I saw it. So, but along with that, you gotta have a balance. So the balance it's not negative, it just was challenging, it was like a obstacle. And understanding like, well, you gotta get it for yourself now. Like, mama not waking you up in the morning for school. Like, you gotta get up, you gotta make a plan for yourself. You gotta, say how you wanna approach this. You gotta work on the music, learn the music, learn how to get money. It's harder to get money when you up and coming because nobody like really, it's not like nobody's investing into it, but it's like, you're not the biggest brand in the world. You're not as easily marketable to make as much money. So you got to figure out how to make money. I was doing shout outs. I was doing songs for people, selling shirts, throwing shows. So it was a real time to understand myself, really get the hustling. And from getting out of high school, it was just like, this is what I want to do. And it was just a matter of time, just like learning music, learning what I wanted to do. And yeah, that was a matter of time from high school until, started producing my own stuff.
And yeah, I've been consistently listening to Lil Reezy over the past 3 years, and I see the growth in your music. It's like, and even in your titles, like you don't mind announcing it, like 17.
Yeah.
You're at 18. You're working
19.
on 19 now
Yeah.
in that project. But out of all of those projects, you're dropping singles, doing features. Out of all those projects, I felt like, yes, this young man has arrived at Reborn.
Yeah.
When you drop that one, I'm like, the artistry, the complete processing. Talk to our viewers about the process of making that project. What made it stand out from your other work?
It was like musically hidden puberty. Like that's what it was like. It was musically hidden puberty. All my other songs, it was a reference point I had of what rap was and what rap was supposed to sound like. It was just rapping over a beat, a 2-track, and just rapping bars all day. And that's what I thought it was, yelling at the mic, having a bunch of energy, trying to do certain things because I think that's what may go at the parties. And, I kind of when I was going through like being 18 and understanding who I was, it was more like taking a step back and really honing in on what I like about music and what I like talking about. And that Reborn, I had like a situation where it was like, bro, you got to prove to yourself that you really him. Like, you really could make this music. You really could produce. And going into that, I remember I probably had like $40 to my name. My mom was like, you need to go to school. She was like, we literally was like just leaving the colleges. I was like, I'm not going to the school, fam. I'm sorry, bro. And she was like, I can't believe this. She was like, you got to figure something out. I had like $40, and I was like, bro, this gotta be like I can't keep living like this. I gotta put my all into this. And that's what I did, like I remember working on it. It was like 3 weeks straight, sun up to sun down, just giving all my energy. I was praying before I worked on the tracks, like really believing like, this is something, and I was like, it was too good to like just, a lot of my stuff was just New Orleans based, and I was like, this is too good to just go to New Orleans. Like I can't afford it, I was like, it gotta go. So that was my like mindset and belief, and I kept telling her, I was like, this one gonna do something. So that was like the real process, and really believing in myself as an artist and my skills and what I'm capable of doing.
If you're just tuning in to Inside the Trenches podcast, our special guest is Lil Reezy, right out of New Orleans, baby. Lil Louisiana. He's been representing, been doing music since he's a kid. Y'all make sure y'all follow him at Lil Reezy Music. Telling you, you're not going to be upset. It's clean, it's vibrant. He has the swagger. He is hip hop. He is the future of hip hop. I'm scrolling up my Instagram, and I saw a couple of your videos. I saw a few of them went viral. Now it's a lot of them, but the first couple of that went, a million views off the Rebirth album. And then it's time to do my next album, and I'm looking at your shirt, utilizing time here, and it really hit me. I love that quote because I do feel like we all have a responsibility to properly utilize our time here. It features your grandfather. You have some snaps on that. From what I understand, you produced some of the tracks as well.
Yeah, all of them.
Let's get into that album.
UTH was, I went to New York, and I started really getting into sample rap and listening to like Dipset, Kanye Graduation, Cameron, like just listening to those songs. And I remember I saw Cameron perform at the Yankee Stadium, and when it was like, oh boy, yeah, and everybody was singing them. When they were singing the samples, I was like, I could do that, and that was really what my mindset was. So I was like, I want to just make a sample-based project with some Dipset. I started listening to Blueprint by Jay-Z.
That's a good album.
And I was listening to Graduation by Kanye, and I was like, I want to just make my own version of this with my own rapping, with my own production. So I made the project in about 6 months, and really like 4 months. And yeah, that project was more of just a snapshot of time, snapshot where I was in time. I wanted people to look back at that year, 2023, Reezy, and be like, oh, he did this and that in 1 year. Really in 6 months, from Reborn to Youth was 6 months apart. So I wanted to show like what I could do. And I wanted to just show how hungry I was, not like let Reborn be the only thing that comes out that year. Like I'm still hungry. I'm still the same 16-year-old artist that's like really trying to make way. So youth was a snapshot, and it was like, imagine if I'm saying I'm the leader of the youth, this was like my speech. That's what I felt like the tracks was. The tracks was like my speech, my Martin Luther King speech. So that's, the mindset for youth.
What you snapped on the Martin Luther King sample, Reach for the Stars,
Yeah.
I thought that was a really inspiring track, and it did kind of take me to that graduation feeling. Kanye on College Dropout, some of my faves coming out of high school and in my college years at LSU, these are albums that we bumped a lot.
Yeah.
We played these albums religiously. You have started to catch the attention of not only some of the local artists here and regional artists, but even national. We had Flag Boy come on here. We had him come on a few episodes ago, and he was like, out of the blue, like we didn't ask him any questions about what players excuse me, I'm just doing sports, so that's players. What artists you think are coming out, or man, who should we? We didn't ask anything, just out of the blue. Oh yeah, shouts out that man Lil Reezy. He cold. and I
Shout
thought,
out Flag Boy Gibbs.
Yes, indeed. I was chilling, Hollywood, working for the Mardi Gras. Yeah.
In the Orleans outside.
Yeah. Shouts out to Flag Boy. But when you drop Nerd, we talk about sampling. You had, so initially Eddie Kendricks, that's his song. Alicia Keys touched it. I touched it with Long Letters. But the way you did it really brought hip hop back. And for someone your age, I mean, you have got, Killer Mike won 3 Grammys, a full hip hop album. You're starting to see people are hungry for that hip hop vibe, the true sound. And when I listen to Nerd, I get that. I get that. I mean, you're flowing, you're walking through the city, you're connecting. I saw you was in the flea market.
Yeah.
Very creative. What made you go Nerd?
For example, this podcast that you do, you nerd about sports, and I wanted people to have something that would felt like it's okay to nerd over stuff, like it's okay to be a nerd. Like nothing's wrong with being a nerd on the stuff you love. So that was really the idea of the track. And I didn't think about it as like a hip hop song. Like I wasn't like, oh, this sounds like a hip hop song. It was more like I'm just flowing. It was
Hello, somebody. Yeah, I'ma move my body. Yeah, I'ma be somebody. You never know when you gonna need somebody.
Hello, somebody. It's the host of Inside the Trenches podcast, Marlon Big Favorite. Did you know Small Sliders had an app? You can go to your Google Play Store or your Apple Store right now, download the Small Sliders app in Marrero, and order your food right now. You want to get a number 2? Well, slide through. 1635 Barataria Boulevard in Marrero. Small Sliders, simple on purpose. Well, hello, it's Marlon Big Favorite with Inside the Trenches podcast. Are you looking for a brand new car? Or you're tired of what you're driving around in? Or you just need wheels? Well, if that's the case, you need to visit Montero Motors, 1512 North Causeway, Metairie, Louisiana. At Montero Motors, our buddy Alberto will get you in a vehicle that fits you that day with no problem. They have vehicles that are pre-owned. You can do a trade-in that day and ride off in something that day. Visit MonteroMotors.com for more information and let them know you heard about them on Inside the Trenches podcast. Hello. Hello, somebody. It's Marlon Big Favorite with Inside the Trenches podcast. Do you need a quick car wash? Well, if that's a yes, you need to visit Crown Car Wash, 1336 Stump Boulevard, Gretna, Louisiana, on the West Bank, baby. Crown's the best. You get a spotless wash, nice clean tires, reasonable pricing, and free vacuuming. My favorite part about Crown Car Wash, they open 24/7. That's right, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can visit Crown Car Wash on the West Bank, baby, and let them know you heard about them on Inside the Trenches podcast with Marlon Big Favorite. Watch out there now.
It's Dat Boy Fred, host of FanView podcast. Tune into the NOTN app weekdays, 3:30 for the FanView podcast. Go to NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com to watch more episodes of FanView podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and watch.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
Now New Orleans has a choice. Download the New Orleans Talk Network app for your mobile device or listen at www.neworleanstalknetwork.com.
Yeah, we jamming here on this Friday, baby. It's Inside the Trenches podcast. It's your host, Marlon Favorite. And I know y'all see us every Friday at Small Sliders. You see the orange can. You're like, man, that food looks good over there. I got to slide through. Literally. Well, this is the man behind the plan right here, my man, Rick Robards. Rick, thank you so much for coming on the operator of the Small Sliders in Marrero.
And my pleasure, Marlon. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining me on the show. So, Rick, we were talking off air, and you said this isn't your first rodeo. This is not your first time being a franchisee.
Correct.
You own Subway?
I was a Subway franchisee. For about 12, 13 years. Not in New Orleans, in Amelia, Morgan City area, southeast Louisiana. And saw this opportunity, I think, in 2021.
Okay.
And here we are.
Here you are. And for those who want to know about how you become a partner in the franchise, become a franchisee, what's that process like? Like, obviously it's a financial obligation, but, step by step, how is that, becoming a franchisee?
Yeah, it's the first thing I think is it is a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a plan that's laid out for you, but it does require a lot of work. So I would say the first thing is make sure it's something that you enjoy and you love, not just something you think you can make $1 off.
That's a good point.
And then after that, do your research. There are financials that are involved, but perhaps depending on the opportunity, perhaps not as much as you might think. Hard work goes a long way.
It does. And I know a lot of times when you start something new, you don't understand exactly all the work that goes into it. And that's why I wanted you to explain to our listeners to really overemphasize. You have to be willing to work hard. Don't look at it as, oh man, if I own this spot, I can make a lot of money. You can make a decent amount of money if it's upkeeping, if you're doing all the right stuff with the spot.
If you work, and it doesn't operate itself.
Yeah.
But when I opened this store, I think it was probably 5 months before I took a day off.
Wow.
That's what it requires. You put your faith down, you put your heart down, then you're not going to let us fail.
That's big. If y'all are just tuning in to Inside the Trenches podcast, I'm here with, I call him Mr. Small Sliders West Bank himself, Rick Robards. Y'all can check out our spot, 1635 Barataria Boulevard in Marrero. Be on the lookout for some more of those. I know, Rick, you and I spoke about potentially having some more Small Sliders here on the West Bank.
Correct. We're looking at a couple locations right now. I would say before the end of this year, we'll have another location on the West Bank.
That's good news. So for the folks that's complaining, that's in Gretna or Elgin, I don't want to ride out of it. We'll have one closer to you too. So that's big. Small Sliders. You said you hadn't taken a break in 5 months. I think the misconception of ownership is, I own this spot, I just hire people to work and I can just go about my business. I'm telling y'all, that's why y'all this is y'all first time seeing Rick, because every time we're doing the show, he's busy working in the restaurant. It's a lot of hard work in the industry.
It is, and if you're not there, watching it, if you're not there staying on top of it, things will get sideways on you quick. So,
yeah,
and it boils down to what you mentioned earlier, management and having the right people, and if you can hire the right people and have the right management, it makes your job much easier.
That's a good point, because I do notice that when you're on stage, I mean, when you're on the floor, you still have managers working, and it's unique when you guys, if y'all hadn't visited our spot here in Marrero, when you go to Small Sliders, you have some of the workers out there in the lines just making sure, and we see this sometimes at like Chick-fil-A, they'll have somebody there, and then
the tablet takers out.
The tablet takers,
yeah.
And when and it takes me back to your first few months open. Like the second my man moved those cones, the cars started coming in. So it is important on average, I'm assuming per shift, you have to have at least 10 people working.
Yeah. We back in those days we had more like 16 or 17, but yeah, now we're anywhere from 8 to 10 people a shift is generally what we average now.
Most of our viewers and our listeners are from Baton Rouge. We have a good bit of New Orleans folks here and around the SEC region. We remember that first Sliders that opened in Baton Rouge off Nicholson. And
Nicholson, yes.
And it's crazy. The first time I ever tried Small Sliders was at your spot. I always wondered how did Small Sliders taste, and I had the opportunity. Talk to us about Small Sliders. It's a new franchise. It's just burgers. It's a lot of folks who from the New Orleans area remember the Castle burgers. It puts them in that mindset in terms of the frame. When Small Sliders came about, how did this thing get started? Who are the founders for Small Sliders?
Certainly. So Brandon Landry, the fella, you know Brandon.
B, what's up, B?
Brandon, who founded Walk-Ons, they have a cheeseburger slider on their appetizer menu.
Mm-hmm.
Very good seller. So, meanwhile, as an aside, Drew Brees became an investor and a partner in Walk-Ons.
Yeah.
And so Brandon was telling Drew about this concept he had, this idea of a very simple, just sliders and fries and a milkshake, nothing else. And Drew was intrigued, and they put the concept together. Opened the first restaurant that you're talking about
on
Nicholson. It was a huge success. So they decided to franchise, and I was fortunate enough early on to hear about the opportunity. It was one of the first, probably 6 or 8 franchisees. And,
That's big.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. I'm very proud of the brand. I'm proud of what we do. I'm proud of what we represent and where we're going.
And it's simple on purpose. That's one of the big slogans after asking y'all to slide through, literally. It's simple on purpose, and it is. When you go there, you don't have to think about what you want. It's burgers, fries. Now, how you want it is a thought, but for the most part, you're getting burgers, fries, drinks, and milkshakes. And I think that's an excellent business concept because, especially in a time like this, when people have to do a lot of thinking and there's a lot going on, simple on purpose, the Small Sliders.
It is. We have our cheeseburger slider. We offer it with our own our custom, what we call a smoss.
The smoss, yeah. I like that smoss.
A dill pickle, American cheese. We butter and grill the buns and sweat it to melt everything real good. We have a seasoned waffle fries, soft drinks, and milkshakes, and that's it. Our menu is a combo 1, combo 2, combo 3, combo 4. 1 slider, 2 slider, 3 sliders, or 4. That's it.
That's
a party pack of 25 if you're having an event, and trays of fries. But that's it.
That's what I like about it. Simple on purpose. That's what I like about it too. If y'all having a birthday party, if you're having just friends over, friends in town, whatever's going on, you can come to Small Sliders, order your 25-pack or 50-pack, and the folks will leave your party full. You won't have to worry about that. Now, personally, I tell them this all the time. when it comes to meat, I like to have the 2 biggies with the bacon. So I'm just giving them little pointers, little tips when they go there.
Yep.
And then I asked them the fries are always crispy. You get the fries crispy, you put the sauce over there and a little bit. It's a specialty. I won't give all the juices away, but it's off the chain and it's something that's delicious. So when you have parties, wedding receptions, we got festivals coming up, tailgates. Y'all make sure y'all make y'all way over to March Madness. That's perfect. Y'all can throw the March Madness parties, get y'all trays of small sliders. Rick's going to sit around with me for one more segment. We're going to get into how this year flew by fast. They're coming up on the anniversary of the opening. And I'll ask a few sports section questions to Rick as well. You're watching Inside the Trenches podcast. We live on a Friday, baby. We're in the Small Sliders Hub here on New Orleans Talk Network, ESPN New Orleans. Watch out there now. We'll be right back. For the radio, from LA to LA, they yelling hello, Fade. Big dog, smooth cat with some mellow wave. In the 10th grade, I used.
Are you a student athlete looking to take your career to the next level? Look no further than Conquer Sports Pros. That's right, Conquer Sports Pros. Our team of experts will get you guys on the right path to your student athlete journey in life. That's right, we have every position in football you need, and we also help out with other sports. At Conquer Sports Pros, you have everything from a list of consultation, training, and also media training. Yeah, that's right. When you take your career to the next level, play college and hopefully pro, you'll get lots of interviews. Call Conquer Sports Pros today. You can reach them at 504-319-6672 or visit marlonfavorite.com for more information. Hello, somebody. Are you looking for your dream home? Well, if that's the case, you need to contact Joe Picolo at Godwyn Realty, right here in New Orleans. Joe can put you in your dream home right away. Joe Picolo and the folks over at Godwyn Realty put you in the house that you need. Even if you're looking to invest in some property, they'll do an excellent job with that as well. Contact Joe today at 504-251-8341. Again, that phone number is 504-251-8341. And also contact Joel at joel.godwynrealty.com. No need to dream anymore. Godwyn Realty will put you in the dream house of your reality. Hello, somebody.
It's Dat Boy Fred, host of FanView podcast. Tune into the NOTN app weekdays, 3:30 for the FanView podcast. Go to NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com to watch more episodes of FanView podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and watch.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
Hello, somebody. It's Marlon Favorite with Inside the Trenches podcast. Do you need a quick car wash? Well, if that's a yes, you need to visit Crown Car Wash, 1336 Stump Boulevard, Gretna, Louisiana, on the West Bank, baby. Crown's the best. You get a spotless wash, nice clean tires, reasonable pricing, and free vacuuming. My favorite part about Crown Car Wash, they open 24/7. That's right, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can visit Crown Car Wash on the West Bank, baby, and let them know you heard about them on Inside the Trenches podcast with Marlon Favorite. Watch out there now.
Now I play the game Madden. See the game like Welcome back to Inside the Trenches podcast. It's your host, Marlon Favorite. Joining me now, I have my good friend, Rick Robards. And now, look, I got my alarm going off too, man. So it seems like it's been a year for us, Rick. Since
Unbelievable, huh, Marlon?
The time just clicked. A year in review with small sliders on Marrero. I can remember when I saw the orange can. I'm like, man, what's coming over there? That don't look like a hardware shop. That look like a restaurant. And it's there. Time flies, clips its wings. Y'all are coming up on the 1-year anniversary here in a few months. I guess talk to our listeners about what that experience has been like owning small sliders for a year.
It's been incredible. Number one, I'd like to say the people in Marrero have been unbelievably welcoming. The community has embraced us. from the day we opened. It was unbelievable. We opened, and there was a double line of cards for blocks and blocks, and it stayed that way for months. And it's just been an incredible ride. It's been a really, really, really fun time.
And that's what I appreciated about too. You mentioned community, going out there every Friday. I've grown to realize and understand that, man, that's my uncle. That's my cousin over there. Wait, that's one of my teammates from high school. I played against that dude when West Jeff played Eric. It's like, this thing is legit Marrero. You see the community, and we're doing a live remote out there on Fridays, and folks are honking their phone horns. What's up, Big Fave? Yep. So the community piece of it I like, because typically you would have something like this in Metairie, which they did. Drew Brees opened one there in Metairie. So you would typically run into those particular situations where you just don't have nothing like this in our community. So we do appreciate you for bringing a spot like this in the community. And you and Tarek were talking about this off air as well, about not only does it feed the community, but employs the community as well. Most of the folks that work there are right there from Marrero.
Oh, absolutely. Some of them on nice days even walk back and forth to work. I would say 70-80% of our employees are right from the Marrero area.
That's cool. And while you're on that topic, if y'all are tuning in and you have a young man or a young lady who's in high school or in college or in between, y'all make sure y'all come to 1635 Barataria Boulevard. Rick's always having that hire. He told you sometimes the line around the corner, so we can always use extra help there.
Yep.
That's big. That is huge. And what are some of, I don't want to say challenges, but what were some of the obstacles? It's a better word. In owning a franchise like this, and in that year review, like some of the things that you saw may have been a few hiccups.
It's surprisingly the business itself. And by that I mean the amount of business. We were so blessed and so welcomed. It was hard in the beginning just to keep up.
Mm-hmm.
Just to keep your head above water.
Right.
Seriously. And the employees, even though it's a hamburger fast food place, and we're really not fast food, but we're kind of looked at that way because we cook to order. So if until you pull up in line, we don't make the burger.
That's right.
But the muscle memory wasn't developed. People weren't as good at what they do when we first opened, and now the team members are much better, and our squad members are much better at what we do, and we're able to do it much faster and much more efficiently. We're able to keep those lines moving a lot better than we were originally, and that was the biggest challenge and the biggest hurdle and the biggest disappointment to me is when those lines were so long and people had to wait so long. And we were working as hard and fast as we could, but the lines just didn't go away.
Especially in those first, he's not over exaggerating, folks. That's this past summer into the football season was crazy. Me and Rick met before the store opened, and obviously we talked about him becoming a sponsor for the show, and I can't imagine him thinking that he was going to have to be this hands-on. Like, I knew he was something in franchise history. You owned the Subway before. You know that things can get hectic. You're dealing with food. But, man, when you look at just how hands-on you had to be, making sure that, folks will not show up. You may have some folks come in late, but the product always was professional, always was on time, and everything flowed. To make things even better, I heard through a little birdie that there is now an app. There's a small slider app, and you can make things easier for you with the app.
If you're coming, you think it's lunchtime or dinner time, you think there might be a line, you can go right on the small sliders app, download it on your phone, go on an app and order, or directly from the store and pick it up. You bypass the line. You just come to the walk-up window. Or you can go to smallsliders.com. You can go to the website and place an order from there at our store, and again, come and pick it up. So that's one way to get around the line outside.
Right, because you could legit, and it's definitely worth it. You could legit be waiting out there for about a good 10 minutes in line, especially on one of those busy days.
Oh, easily. Yeah, 10, 15,
10,
15 minutes. But again, we don't have heat lamps. We're keeping nothing hot. So we cook it when you order it.
That's big time.
It takes a minute to do that.
Yes, and it's fresh when you get it. The fries are fresh. The burgers are fresh. They have 3 specialty milkshakes, and you may have some limited editions. You have the vanilla, the chocolate, the cookies and cream. That's, again, simple. Again, you don't have caramel fudge pop or anything like that. Just the milkshakes we've grown up to love. And then during Mardi Gras time, I thought this was cool. Y'all had the king cake
We had
milkshake.
the king cake shake. Yeah, that was a huge success. Everybody really, really liked those. Yeah,
That was big time.
We'll bring that back next year, I'm sure.
Okay, I look forward to it. We may even once we get into the summer, we may have some different summer blends, the drinks, and all that different
absolutely. We've got plans. There'll be some summertime limited time offers coming up very soon.
Well, I'll tell y'all this. They're coming up on their first year anniversary of Small Sliders in Marrero. We're going to try to make a big bang for that deal. Music, fun, so y'all bring the families out. Before then, y'all can come there. They're open on Fridays and Saturdays till 11, but Sunday through Thursday, open till 10 p.m. We're out there on Fridays, 11 to 1, recording the Inside the Trenches podcast. We would love for you guys to come. Rick, thank you so much for spending some time on here with us, man, and supporting the show.
The invitation.
Off top. So
Can't wait to see you Friday.
Yeah, see you on Friday. Y'all slide through with us, baby. Small Sliders. In Marrero, y'all know where it's at. We cruising down the street real slow. It's Inside the Trenches podcast on ESPN New Orleans. Slide through, baby.
Hold your ground, eyes on the prize. Feel it in my soul, in my bloodline. Hello, somebody. It's the host of Inside the Trenches podcast, Marlon Favorite. Did you know Small Sliders had an app? You can go to your Google Play Store or your Apple Store right now, download the Small Sliders app in Marrero, and order your food right now. You want to get a number 2? Well, slide through. 1635 Barataria Boulevard in Marrero. Small Sliders, simple on purpose. Are you looking for your dream home? Well, if that's the case, you need to contact Joe Picolo at Godwyn Realty, right here in New Orleans. Joe can put you in your dream home right away. Joe Picolo and the folks over at Godwyn Realty put you in the house that you need. Even if you're looking to invest in some property, they'll do an excellent job with that as well. Contact Joe today at 504-251-8341. Again, that phone number is 504-251-8341. And also contact Joel at joel.godwynrealty.com. No need to dream anymore. Godwyn Realty will put you in the dream house of your reality. Hello, somebody.
Now New Orleans has a choice. Download the New Orleans Talk Network app for your mobile device or listen at www.neworleanstalknetwork.com.
Hello, somebody. It's your boy Marlon Favorite. And when I'm hungry, I like to make my way to Small Sliders, 1635 Barataria Boulevard, Marrero, Louisiana. Simple on purpose. When I tell you their burgers are delicious, have some great sauce on them, I'm telling you, when you're just hungry and just need to grab a quick bite, this is the perfect place for you. Small Sliders. The customer service is nice. It's somewhere you can bring the family, hang out and chill, enjoy the atmosphere. Now I'm a big boy, so when I like to take my Small Sliders, I like to get the biggest smalls. Double patties, bacon, cheese, you name it. Just a delicious burger. And I like to top it off with my favorite, the cookies and cream milkshake. There are 3 delicious flavors: milkshake, chocolate, vanilla, and cookies and cream.
Small sliders. Simple on purpose. Y'all come on and slide through, baby. And let them know that you heard about them on Inside the Trenches with your boy Marlon Big Favorite. Watch out there now.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
Podcast, we're enjoying ourselves on this beautiful Friday. Football Friday, right? Small Sliders Hub Friday. Hello, somebody.
Hello, somebody.
Got my boy here, Fred. Fred joined me yesterday. He with me again today. FanView Podcast. We were so caught up in talking about free agency and the brackets. I didn't get a chance to talk to him about the FanView Podcast. And this segment is brought to you guys by Small Sliders. Slide on through. Me and Fred just enjoyed two biggies.
Yes.
Small Sliders took us a little lunch break just a minute ago on our little break, and we enjoyed the food. FanView Podcast. Y'all been around now for how many years?
Man, we've been on FanView Podcast now. Well, it's been FanView Podcast now for a year and a half. It was FanView Live.
That's right.
For about 4.5 years. We went to FanView Podcast actually in September of 2022. So we're talking about a year and a half. FanView Podcast has been up and running. We've filmed over 50 plus episodes with different types of guests. We talking about episode 1 with being with Pokey Chapman.
That's right. I remember that episode.
Episode 1 was Pokey Chapman. I mean, we did with Jimmy Chase was episode 2. Episode 3, Big Marlon Favorite. So we've done a lot of different guests. We talking about pro football players like Amik Robinson, who just recently signed with the Lions. We talking about some of the best position coaches in college football, Dave Johnson, Jabbar Jaluk.
Mm-hmm.
We talking about some, trainers. We talking about you name it. It represents the state of Louisiana. We've represented like so many people that come through on the FanView Podcast. Sam Spiegelman from On 3.
From On 3.
Has done an episode on the FanView Podcast. So it's growing, it's rising and expanding, and we always like to say on our podcast, we can't stop, we won't stop.
That's big time, Fred, and I like how y'all format is. I was talking to you about this off air. It's just conversation. Let's just flow.
Let's flow.
And I mess with Tarek and Mike about this all the time. I say, FanView, y'all easiest podcast to do, huh? He was like, get that camera going, the audio on, let's go.
Let's go.
But y'all's guests as well. You name a couple of guys. These are people, most of y'all's guests are people who are typically behind the scenes. Like a lot of folks don't know off the top of their head, unless you really follow football, who Dave Johnson is.
Right.
You don't really know who Dave Johnson is if you don't follow recruiting, if you don't follow football. So for those guys that come on y'all's platform and share their stories says a lot.
Dave Johnson is the running back coach now at Florida State, who's going to probably have the number 1 running back selected in the entire NFL draft. We had Bryce Brown, who's the head coach at Edna Call. We had an episode with Bryce Brown. A lot of people don't know about Robbie Green. To me, I'm the biggest advocate saying that he's one of the best trainers out here in the state of Louisiana who trains Justin Jefferson. He trains Devontae Smith. Robbie Green was a former DB at Alabama, and he played over at John Curtis. So play with Joe McKnight.
Yeah.
So we talking about some high-rated guys. We talking about guys like Camp Mula, who trains Amik Robinson, who just recently signed a nice contract with the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
I've interviewed. We've interviewed Shaz Preston, who was the number 1 receiver in the country coming out of high school at the time.
Right.
He went to Alabama. We've interviewed his father, Sean Preston. We've interviewed so many in the basketball world. We interviewed so many different guys. A lot of the coaches who won state championships in the state of Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
We interviewed so many different people. The list continues to go on and on and on with FanView Podcast. When you get locked in and you start seeing some of the guys that we've interviewed,
it's been amazing. Been an amazing journey. And like I said, we can't stop. We won't stop. We got more interviews to come, more interviews to go. And I like how people have been receiving the FanView podcast. And I like how people just started catching into the stories, like Bo McCaleb, Bo Lester down here, who went to O'Para Walker, who's one of the big, players that have come out of state of basketball in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Tasman Mitchell.
Taz. LSU's assistant head basketball coach.
Assistant head basketball coach. Randy Livingston, who just won a state championship over at Newman. Randy Livingston was one of the top-rated players in high school coming out in the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, so Randy Livingston has come on the episode. I mean, the list continues to grow.
He's hold on 1 second, y'all. Damn, ate too much food at one time.
Yeah.
So he's Fred Jones. Y'all can follow him at _BFredJones on Instagram. And be sure to follow their podcast at FanView Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. I love the content. You mentioned guys like Robbie Green. I can remember when me and Robbie and Scholar first started doing this training thing, doing the off-season training, and it's his consistency, his energy.
Yes.
And you look at LSU right now, Ashton Stamps.
Yep.
Player that started. And I remember the day his dad, Pastor Stamps, talked to me about they moving Ashton over to cornerback. I said, man, you got to get him with Robbie. He said, man, I'm calling Robbie today. And now this kid is a starting cornerback at LSU. So it's those gems that y'all show brings out of the guys that come on there and the things that they share. I do think if you are a young athlete, you definitely want to stay tuned to the FanView podcast as well, because, I mean, they have, just the other day, my buddy I played with the Buffalo Bills with Felton Huggins. Came on in on y'all show. Felton's bounced all around from McNeese. He's coached at Division II level school.
Yes.
He's been all over. A lot of insight he could give, and possibly you can get recruited.
Absolutely. I mean, but we come to Felton Huggins, man. Me and Felton Huggins, and we went to college together at Southeastern.
That's right.
We went to Southeastern together. We were there in our duration time. Me, him, and G Sports. And I mean, there's just so many things that goes behind. Like G Sports is y'all have no idea how much he pioneers when it comes to media, talent, relations, big on relationships.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to student athletes out of the state of Louisiana, I mean, he pioneers so much. Y'all have no idea. And so it's one of those things when we start talking about, like, let's say some high school players, Wallace Foster, who's a commit to LSU, did an episode. Let's talk about some of the players that's on LSU roster. Kyron Lacey did an episode on the FanView podcast.
Yep.
Greg Brooks, prior to the season, done an episode on the FanView podcast. I mean, it is continuing to go on and on and on. I mean, just the stories, the relationships, the testimonies. Jonathan Bax, who's, at Nicole, who was at TCU, done an episode. I mean, it's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey.
And I want to get into the FanView. You mentioned G Sport. You have Coach Hen on there.
Coach Hurricane Hen also.
Is you. And you guys started this from the beginning. I remember when it was just FanView Live. It was you guys on there representing, telling different stories. And sometimes you guys went back and forth, but
still do.
Through the podcast. Yeah, that's true.
Still do.
You have a guy like Brandon Jacobs playing in the NFL. He has an interesting story. He came on. Chris Thompson, he coaches DBs right now, but Chris
plays for the Washington Redskins, played with that Nickel States. He came on.
Yeah, so I like that. And listen, guests come on shows all the time. These guys are sitting down. They're rolling for about sometime 30 minutes, an hour, 30 minutes, and they're just talking. And really, the more you sit down and talk, and you look at formats such as Shannon Sharp Show, Club Shay Shay.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't realize that we looked up and that Cat Williams interview was 2.5 almost 3 hours, so you get a lot of insight when you can just sit down and have a casual conversation.
Right.
So that's, something you guys do all the time.
Something very similar to I Am Athlete, something like very similar to Pivot.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give you an idea of kind of the platform and how it looks and how it's viewed. But we're not, those are great models that we try to model, but we're trying to make sure that, people who get recognized from being from the state, and we talk in the game of, sports and what goes on, how things are changing, how things are evolving. And the relationships are real, the stories are real. And like I said, it's a growing venture, and FanView podcast ain't going nowhere.
Just like Inside the Trenches podcast, FanView podcast streams live right here on New Orleans Talk Network.
Absolutely.
Y'all make sure y'all check them out as well. Y'all can go through all of the episodes. Of course, they have them back from 50 episodes ago. I was episode 3. Before you know, you say y'all are on 50 right now. Time flies.
Close to 60.
That's crazy. It felt like I just came on there, man. That's wild. So it's Fred, G Sport, Coach Hen, the Hurricane Hen, representing these guys. Sit down and have great conversations with people that we grew up and respect as well. Coaches. You mentioned Bryce from Edna Carr. He's been a winning coach here in recent times in the New Orleans area. So look, y'all don't go anywhere. Fred's gonna stick around with me. We're gonna talk more FanView podcast. We're also gonna talk some New Orleans Saints. We're going to get into a couple of their players as well. Is Inside the Trenches podcast. Y'all don't go anywhere. Hello.
Are you a student athlete looking to take your career to the next level? Look no further than Conquer Sports Pros. That's right, Conquer Sports Pros. Our team of experts will get you guys on the right path to your student athlete journey in life. That's right, we have every position in football you need, and we also help out with other sports. At Conquer Sports Pros, you have everything from a list of consultation, training, and also media training. Yeah, that's right. When you take your career to the next level, play college and hopefully pro, you'll get lots of interviews. Call Conquer Sports Pros today. You can reach them at 504-319-6672 or visit marlonfavorite.com for more information. Hello, somebody.
Hello, somebody. It's your boy Marlon Big Favorite. And when I'm hungry, I like to make my way to Small Sliders. 1635 Barataria Boulevard, Marrero, Louisiana. Simple on purpose. When I tell you their burgers are delicious, have some great sauce on them, I'm telling you, when you're just hungry and just need to grab a quick bite, this is the perfect place for you. Small Sliders. The customer service is nice. It's somewhere you can bring the family, hang out and chill, enjoy the atmosphere. Now I'm a big boy, so when I like to take my Small Sliders, I like to get the biggest smalls. Double patties, bacon, cheese, you name it. Just a delicious burger. And I like to top it off with my favorite, the cookies and cream milkshake. There are 3 delicious flavors: milkshake, chocolate, vanilla, and cookies and cream. Small Sliders. Simple on purpose. Y'all come on and slide through, baby. And let them know that you heard about them on Inside the Trenches with your boy Marlon Big Favorite. Watch out there now.
Well, hello, it's Marlon Big Favorite with Inside the Trenches podcast. Are you looking for a brand new car? Or you're tired of what you're driving around in? Or you just need wheels? Well, if that's the case, you need to visit Montero Motors, 1512 North Causeway, Metairie, Louisiana. At Montero Motors, our buddy Alberto will get you in a vehicle that fits you that day with no problem. They have vehicles that are pre-owned. You can do a trade-in that day and ride off in something that day. Visit MonteroMotors.com for more information and let them know you heard about them on Inside the Trenches podcast. Hello.
Step Construction is here for you with a brand new offer. We now provide affordable storage sheds. Stop wasting your money on overpriced storage units and portable containers. Step Construction can provide you with a custom shed that will fit your budget and storage needs. So contact Step Construction today at 504-340-5809 for your own personal quote. Let us help you take the next step at Step Construction.
Tiger, the heart of a champ. I'm putting in work and I'm laying my stamp. I'm doing this. It's Inside the Trenches podcast, baby. We live here on this Friday. I hope y'all are gearing up for the weekend the right way, enjoying this evening. We here on Inside the Trenches podcast, ESPN New Orleans Talk Network. I got my co-host Fred here with me. We're talking sports. We're talking FanView podcast as well. Him, Coach Hen, G Sport, representing, doing their thing. Off air, we were talking about some of the guests that you have coming up. What are some interviews some of our listeners could look out for?
We got the head coach of Kentucky State, Felton Huggins. That should be airing today. Felton Huggins, he's the head coach of Kentucky State. Felton Huggins went to Grambling. He transferred to Southeastern. played in the NFL, played receiver for several years with the Buffalo Bills, Jacksonville Jaguars, and he started on his coaching journey, man. He's, coached at several different universities, McNeese being one of them. He coached at several different stops, and his story of what he's taken in as a player, learning the West Coast offense and taking it into coaching and talking about some of the things that he, his journey through coaching and how has it led him to Kentucky State and just the game. When you sit down and listen to this interview with Felton Huggins, if you think you know football in the game of football,
he knows it.
And
I spent a little time with Felton in Buffalo. We were there off season together, and just a cool cat. Was happy to see somebody from the Louisiana area representing.
Yeah.
So shouts out to him. And remember, y'all check those episodes out. Really good listen if you're riding in your car, if you got time to sit home and put it on the YouTube. Check it out. Fred, Deion Sanders said, Coach Prime said if Shedeur was to come out this year, he would be the first or the second quarterback off of the board. You agree with that?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Where would he be?
He makes a case for third.
Ooh,
but
okay.
That's a case. There's no guarantee of assurance that he would be third. But the two quarterbacks coming off the board are your two Heisman Trophy winners. That's the two. Yeah. Whether Shedeur comes out or not. That's the two. That's the two.
And it would only be based off of this season. We know Shedeur was a Heisman candidate the first two games.
He was the Heisman candidate for the first three games.
First three, we would say. First three games, he was in there. But then the schedule got a bit tougher.
It got tougher.
Those windows closed up a bit. But I think what Prime is doing...
It went down south after Oregon.
That's right. Because I remember the Oregon game, coach was like, yeah, we're not gonna pay attention to all that watch stuff. Instead, tell them they climbing. It went downhill from there.
Right.
But it sparked the season off. It was exciting to watch in the beginning. It was. But I do think, to your point, you do have a quarterback. If he was coming out this year, the athleticism is there. Of course, the pedigree is his dad has a red jacket.
Yes.
There's only 100 of those passed out.
Yes.
So, all of that is there. And now he has a case for next season.
Yes.
Number one, number two.
I think Shedeur Sanders goes into the season of college football as the best quarterback.
Okay.
That's hands down. Obviously, when you start looking back after that, you start getting past that point. Quentin Ewers will probably be regarded as number two.
I think had Gabe as well from Oklahoma.
Yes. You talking about Dylan Gabriel?
Dylan Gabriel.
He's going to be making some recognition over there. Then you have the kid over at Penn State, Drew Aller. He's going to be making some waves and some moves. Depending on how his situation happens at Penn State, then you're looking at a guy like
maybe Stephen Bennett.
I
said the wrong guy.
No, that's not. You talking about Carson Beck?
Carson Beck
out of Georgia.
Yeah.
Carson Beck out of Georgia, and then you got Riley Leonard out of Duke.
That's right.
Those are going to be your guys unless somebody else jumps out to you at quarterback. But to me, Shedeur Sanders is arguably going to be the number one rated college quarterback going into the season. He's going to be one of your Heisman. And don't sleep on Jalen Milroe. And the reason why
Alabama.
The reason why I say this is because the offensive system is going to change, and it's going to change for his benefit. With the new head coach and obviously the way they ran the offense at Washington, they're bringing that to the Bama and the SEC, and with the talent that's going to be there. Obviously there's a lot of transfers, but Jalen Milroe is going to benefit the most from this upcoming season.
I think because he has two seasons too.
Correct.
His performance was up there last year.
He got better as the season went on.
Started off. I think Shedeur comes in more experience in this conference and plays better. That's a good point. So we'll continue to keep a watch on these guys and see how they progress moving forward. I have a dark horse for you though.
Who?
Gary Nussmeier, LSU.
Woo.
He has C.J. Daniels. He has
Aaron Anderson, Kyron Lacy.
He has some weapons. He has a tight end.
Yes.
Mason Taylor. He might be a dark horse to get in that conversation, maybe top 5 quarterback next year.
Well, look at it this way, right? The two quarterbacks that come before him, obviously Joe Burrow, first overall. Obviously under now Brian Kelly, we talking about Jaden Daniels winning the Heisman Trophy, potentially going to be a top, pick.
Right.
Now somebody's going to have an incredible season. But going back to that, those guys were able to play 2 seasons under the same, system.
Correct.
And so they got a chance to, because you got to understand, Joe Burrow was not regarded as the number 1 overall pick going into that season. People had Joe Burrow rated as a late day 3 pick until he wins the Heisman Trophy and has the best season for any quarterback to ever have.
I see where you're going with this, Fred. I see where you're going. Because Jaden Daniels didn't look all that high.
Not his first year.
Yes, right.
Not his first year.
So,
he didn't look all that great. Then he comes out here, he has a Heisman Trophy year.
Okay.
And now we talking about him being one of the top selections in the NFL draft. So, the way it's been playing out.
Hello.
And even, listen, we could go even further back when we start talking about Jamarcus Russell. Jamarcus Russell needed a couple of years to start before he was the first overall pick out of LSU.
That's right. J-Rock.
So, the way it works here, you need a couple of years to start. So I think if he has 2 years to start, then we could have a conversation.
That's okay. We'll see that out. This is his first year starting.
Yep.
Before we wrap up this show, a chapter closes in New Orleans.
Yes.
At the wide receiver position with Michael Thomas. He had a good run. You talk about his first few years in New Orleans, putting up all pro numbers.
Yes.
And then the last 3 years, things kind of dwindled down. Michael Thomas' time here in New Orleans.
If you want to look at the term highs and lows, this fits the definition. The first 4 years, highs. The last 4, lows. That's kind of been the seesaw for Michael Thomas in his career in New Orleans. I think we had one perception of Michael Thomas his first 4 years in New Orleans. We looked at him, he was regarded as like a locker room guy, a team first kind of player. Puts the organization first, puts winning first. That was the image of Michael Thomas, his first 4 seasons here in New Orleans. But the last 4, that was pre-contract extension. We're talking about rookie contract.
Mm-hmm.
Once he got the extension in the last 4 years, obviously injuries had a big factor in all this, but it became more of a diva. More of a, toward the end now, locker room cancer.
Yeah.
Not good for the organization. Like whatever that image was, it ended up appearing to be the opposite. And the production was not following due to the injuries. Obviously, after he gets the contract, I think he plays like 7 to 8 games. He got injured that year, but he ended up finishing the season. The production wasn't there. Then he goes into that offseason, doesn't have the offseason surgery, has the surgery during training camp, and misses that whole year. Then he comes back the following year from the same injury and has the same injury again. He only plays 2 games, right?
Yeah.
And last year was his first time really having a productive quality season underneath this new extension that he had, and the numbers are not there. So it's it's a love-hate. We started off loving Michael Thomas through and through, and at the end of it, it's a hate.
Yeah, we appreciate his time here in New Orleans, especially those memories from the 2016 season on through the 2019 season.
2019 seems to be the biggest one.
That was that one was
it's the Mac
huge.
Daddy.
That's the MVP year. I mean,
Yeah.
he had 1,700 yards. He had 150 receptions.
Yeah.
He was just on fire that year. Won the league's
Offensive Player of the Year.
Offensive Player of the Year, and it was a big moment for him. But then you talk about the years after where everything dwindled down. So big ups to Michael Thomas. Hopefully, he finds a home.
Yeah.
I think Denver. You do keep your eye on a Carolina.
Yeah.
You do keep your eye on Atlanta or something like that somewhere in the division because they'll try that.
Play them twice. And I can see Atlanta because of the fact that, obviously how New Orleans feels about that organization as Saints fans. But more important, they have a quarterback. They have a quarterback who can throw the ball.
They do. And then, of course, Terry Fontenot is in their front office. He's part of the staff that brought Michael Thomas in.
That's it.
Y'all don't, I just looked at the time. That's a wrap for the show, man. Fred, thank you so much for joining me on this Friday. I hope y'all enjoy y'all weekend, too. We want to thank our sponsors, Small Sliders, Montero Motors. We want to thank Crown Car Wash for all they do for the show as well. UPT Sports Social, Uptown on Magazine Street. Will be there Friday night. And remember, next Friday we'll be back at Small Sliders representing at the live remote 11 that day. Y'all make sure y'all make y'all way out here. It's Inside the Trenches podcast on ESPN New Orleans. Peace.
I'm living a dream. I live in New Orleans. I ball and I rap and I'm raising some kings. One time for the Millers. It's really no limit to getting this green.